So in this video, we're just continuing to find pieces within the object, break it down into its component parts or its primitive objects, and building them out from that. So for this, it looks like it's just a cube extruded down to here. And then we've got this combination of a cylinder and a cube here. I think we'll probably want to create a cylinder and then extrude faces out to create that cube type object or cube type shape here. So let's work on that. I'll go back to my side view again and I'll bring the cursor right into here and I'll go ahead and add a cube. We'll scale it down, try and get it approximately the right size, and it looks to me like it extends up into that barrel here. You can see how it extends up and is welded onto the barrel. So I'll try and mirror that or replicate that by having it intersect with that cylinder. And let's see if we can, it looks like it's not quite wide enough, so I will scale it out in the X just a bit. Now for the next part of this piece, I think what we should do is extend this first part down and then extrude out. So let's grab this face here and bring it right on down to the base of this right here. Now what we can do is insert an edge loop at that point right there, and now we can begin extruding out. So say for this face, I can go ahead and extrude out back into this piece here. And then for these two faces here, I'm just hitting the B key and border selecting so I get just these two faces. And then I'll select this face and that face over there. So I have those selected on either side, and now I want to extrude them out in the X. So here we go. I'll press E, and then I'll press S and X and extrude, or scale, excuse me, out about to there, it looks like. So they've both been pulled out on either side. Now let's work on this cylindrical piece here. So let's tab back into object mode, go back to our side view, and I'll go ahead and bring the cursor right down into here. Now when I press Shift A and bring in a cylinder, it'll pop into that location. We have 12 vertices from our previous cylinder that we created, and I think that'll work fine. However, I want to change the cap fill to triangle fan because we are going to see some of that cap here on the outside. So now I'll rotate around the y-axis with RY90, and I'll scale down to fit the reference image here. Our reference images aren't exactly in an orthographic view. In other words, there's a bit of perspective happening here, and that's fine. We can kind of adjust for that. So now let's get it in the right size here. I'll scale in the X to make this a little bit thinner. You can see that right there. And it looks like it comes out from this a little bit right in here. So I'll pull that out some. Now this also is on the other side. This piece has a mirror of itself over on the other side of the object. So I might as well go ahead and mirror this over. So I'm going to press Shift C to take the cursor back to the center of the grid here. And then I'm going to move the cursor of this object, or the pivot point I should say, to the 3D cursor. So I'll come over here, click Set Origin, and move the origin to the 3D cursor. Now I need to make sure that my rotation is zeroed out, so I'll press the N key to go to the Properties panel, and I can see that my rotation here is 90 degrees in the Y because I turned it as I was placing it. If I were to mirror this object, say go to Add Modifier and Mirror it, you can see in the X-axis, it's actually being mirrored in the Z because of the rotation. If I then apply this rotation by pressing Control A and click Rotation, now you can see it's over here where it should be, because these rotations here are applied before the mirror happens. So now that we have that mirrored over there, we can begin extruding out our faces to build this squarish piece here. So once again, I'll go back to the side view, and we'll need to select, I think, these 4 faces here. Let's work with these. So I'll just click here, shift click these 4, and of course that selects them on the other side as well. However, I can't see that that's the case yet because I haven't turned this on right here, that edit cage view right there. All right, so now we have that. Now let's give this a try. I'll press E, and I'll go ahead and just drag this out a bit and click. And now I'll select these 2 faces, and I'll press S and Z and just flatten them right up in the Z and move that up. Now these I can go ahead and grab and extrude these forward. So I'll press E, and then I'll click, and then I'll drag straight forward like this. Now once I get up here, I'm going to go ahead and press S and Y and scale these in the Y, and then move them back a bit. And then I should be able to grab this face here and just pull it up a bit like that. So I'm just getting the general shape of that piece currently. So let's hit the Z key to go back to solid mode, tab back into object mode, and let's see how we did. Okay, I think we're doing pretty well here. I'm going to frame it up with the period key. And it looks like I need to bring these up just a bit to meet this piece here. And also I need to connect these 2 now between the mirrored components here. So perhaps I could just take all of these like this and just extrude them till they meet in the middle. Now I want to get rid of these faces so we don't have faces in the middle of the object, because if I just extruded and brought these together like this, there would be faces in the center of the object, and we don't want that. So I'll go ahead and press X and delete faces. And then I'll come over here to the mirror modifier and check clipping, so that when these points meet in the middle, they will actually connect together and merge into one point. So I'll go to edge mode, press Alt, and click this edge here, and then I'll just drag it toward the center until they meet, and now they are combined together. Okay, so that takes care of that piece. Let's now add this cylinder right in here between them. So I'll go back to my side view, and then I'll select this point right here in the center of the object, right there. And then I'll move the cursor to that point, Shift S, cursor to selected. And now I'll just create a new cylinder right here with a triangle fan. 12 sides I think will be fine. I'll rotate around the Y and scale it down and put it into place. I'll go ahead and select that object and add a subdivision surface modifier. I'll smooth it. I'll add a few edge loops, Control R, 2 edge loops here by scrolling the mouse wheel, and then I'll scale these out in the X to the edges here. I could also grab these faces here and extrude and scale in just a bit to add an edge there. And now let's take a look at this piece here. How is this going to look if we smooth it? Let's take a look. Let's add a subdivision surface modifier and bring our views up to 2. Let's smooth it. And it's not looking too good, but I think we can do a little bit with this. Let's go ahead and add an edge loop out here. We can do that. And add an edge loop over here. And notice that I still have the mirror modifier on this, so whatever I'm doing on one side is happening on the other side as well. Let's go ahead and add an edge loop along here. Now let's work on this piece. Once again, same thing. We'll add a subdivision surface modifier, smooth it, and let's add our edge loops now. All right, we now have that piece in place. We'll move on to the pieces up here on top in the next video.